Have you ever won an argument that never actually happened? You're in the shower, driving to work, trying to fall asleep, and suddenly you're having a full conversation with someone who isn't even there. They say something. You respond with the perfect comeback. They look speechless. You win. Then you open your eyes and realize you've just spent the last 10 minutes arguing with a person who has no idea they're even in a debate. Why does our brain do this? Why does it invent conversations, rehearse arguments, and replay situations that may never happen? Is it overthinking, anxiety, or is your brain secretly trying to prepare you for something? The answer is far more fascinating than you might think, because these imaginary arguments aren't random. They're actually revealing something about how your brain is wired to protect you. Imagine it's 30,000 years ago. You live in a small tribe. One careless argument with the wrong person could get you kicked out of the group, and being kicked out didn't just mean hurt feelings. It often meant death. No protection, no food, no one watching your back. For our ancestors, social conflict wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. So over thousands of years, our brains became incredibly good at predicting conflict before it happened. Not because they wanted us to be stressed, but because they wanted us to survive. Fast forward to today. You're probably not worried about being abandoned in the wilderness because your coworker made a sarcastic comment, but your brain doesn't always know the difference. To your ancient survival system, a tense meeting with your boss, a disagreement with your partner, or an awkward conversation with a friend can still feel like a threat. And when your brain senses a threat, it starts preparing. One way it prepares is by simulating conversations. Think of it like a flight simulator for your mind. Pilots don't wait until an engine fails before learning what to do. They practice beforehand. Your brain does something similar. It creates imaginary conversations to test different outcomes. What if they say this? What if I respond like this? What if they misunderstand me? What if I completely embarrass myself? Sometimes you're rehearsing. Sometimes you're defending yourself. Sometimes you're rewriting the conversation you wish had happened. But either way, your brain thinks it's helping. There's another reason these imaginary arguments happen. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. Simply put, your brain pays far more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. Think about it. You could receive 10 compliments in one day. Then one person criticizes you. Which one are you thinking about when you're lying in bed that night? Exactly. Your brain clings to potential threats because, historically, missing a threat was far more dangerous than missing an opportunity. That's why a small disagreement can occupy your thoughts for hours while dozens of pleasant interactions disappear almost instantly. But here's something even stranger. Many of the arguments we imagine aren't about the future. They're about the past. Have you ever thought of the perfect comeback? 3 days too late. You suddenly know exactly what you should have said. You replay the moment over and over. You change your response. You imagine their reaction. It feels strangely satisfying. This happens because your brain doesn't like unfinished business. Psychologists refer to this as the Zeigarnik effect. Our minds have a tendency to keep unfinished situations active. It's why an unanswered text can bother you, why cliffhangers are so effective, and why conversations that ended badly keep replaying in your head. Your brain wants closure, so it keeps reopening the file, hoping you'll finally solve it. The problem is, some files never close, and that's where helpful mental preparation turns into rumination. There's an important difference between the two. Preparation helps. Rumination traps you. Preparation asks, what can I do if this happens? Rumination asks, why did this happen to me? Preparation leads to action. Rumination goes in circles. Imagine you're about to ask your manager for a promotion. Thinking through possible questions beforehand is useful. That's preparation. Now imagine you've been replaying the same awkward conversation from 2 years ago for the 100th time. Nothing changes. Nothing improves. You're just reliving it. That's rumination. And your brain often can't tell the difference. It believes that if it keeps thinking, eventually it'll find the perfect answer. But life rarely works like that. In fact, research suggests that people are surprisingly bad at predicting how conversations will actually unfold. We imagine people being harsher than they really are. We overestimate how much they're thinking about us. And we often forget one simple truth. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to analyze us as much as we imagine. So, how do you stop arguing with imaginary people? Ironically, you don't try to force the thoughts away. The harder you try not to think about something, the more your brain brings it back. Instead, notice what's happening. Ask yourself, am I preparing for something real? Or am I replaying something I can't change? That one question changes everything, because once you recognize the pattern, you take away its power. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your evening. It isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you, using software that was written thousands of years ago. The problem is that software was designed for a world where social mistakes could cost you your life, not a world where an awkward conversation is forgotten by lunchtime. So the next time you catch yourself winning an argument that only exists inside your own head, don't laugh at yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just remember what's really happening. Your brain isn't predicting the future. It's rehearsing for survival. The only question is it preparing you for reality or keeping you trapped in a conversation that was never going to happen in the first place?